Hello. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. A warm welcome to anyone who's new to this channel. Welcome back to any returning viewers. If you are new, like, who is this Bruno Groening guy and what is this all about? Well, I'm going to post a link that will give you some answers to those questions. And there you go. So, friends, here it is. One more day of life. Now, if we reflect a little bit on our life, that may seem like no big deal. Like, for example, let me just do the math real quick. I just turned 48 years young. And that means thus far I've had 17,520 plus a few days, days of life. I'm going to do that again. That's amazing. 17,000 days of life. 17,500 days of life. So, when we've experienced something 17,000 times, it's easy to take it for granted. And yet, according to the teachings of Bruno Groening, whom this channel is all about, life is actually a precious gift. Every day here on this earth is a precious gift. And so we human beings, if that's not our lived experience, then we're not actually seeing life correctly. And on a personal note, what I can say is I never used to think of life as a gift. There'd be moments of like, yeah, life is awesome. But it's a radical change. And I start my day off by saying thank you for one more day of life. And I can't say that I have mastered this viewing way of understanding that every day is a precious gift, that our very existence here on this earth is a very special, precious gift. So congratulations. You've been given the gift of one more day of life. And I know and that's the thing is I'm recovering from, and I think most people are recovering from the habit. We're all recovering from many, many habits, but here's one particular habit: taking life for granted. Taking one more day of life for granted. Oh, I've had 17,000. I'll probably have another 17,000 more. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that life in this body, on this earth, according to Bruno Groening, and he's not the only one to say this, though, is an absolute precious gift and a very, very special opportunity. So I invite people to reflect on this and see how they feel about it. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Bruno Groening's word or anyone else's word. What's important is that we come to our own understanding. Is it truly a gift to be alive? Thanks for saying hi, Magdalena. So we're going to spend a little time taking in this divine energy that's always available. And if it feels right, reflecting a little bit. Hey, is this strange guy on YouTube who's talking, is he right? Is life a gift? So how to take in this divine energy? Simply observe your body, noticing what you feel while having the intention to take it in. I'm going to spend a little time in silence doing that now. Noticing what you feel, having the intention to take in this divine energy. So when speaking about death, Bruno Groening pointed out that most people are terrified about death, but actually that is nothing to be afraid of. And he also said that the time of death is appointed. So there's really no need to worry about it. In essence, there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. And so he did say there's one exception. He said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, I tried to find his words, and also I'll just have to paraphrase, that if someone finds themselves in a life situation where they're no longer able to learn, then they would experience what he called an early recall. Reminds me of like an automobile. When an automobile is defective, they call it a recall. But other than that, our time and day, the time of our death is already set. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of death. And of course, Bruno Groening was, good, I found it. Bruno said, but always live in such, and this is Powers of the Spirit, page 116, but always live in such a way that you are willing to learn while you are here and serve that which of God. We all have a task that we received before we were born, in which we have to accomplish in the span of life that has been made available to us. The length of a human life is predetermined by God. But if someone, from a spiritual point of view, does not carry any readiness within themselves to learn, then there comes an early recall. And that means that the person concerned must mentally, spiritually, and physically repeat this in a later existence. Such a recall can happen, however, when other people or the environment of the person concerned renders any further stay on the earth meaningless. In this case, all the people who caused this become responsible and must sooner or later make good the wrongs they have done. Bruno can say so much in one paragraph. So look at that. As long as our heart and soul is still open to learning, as Bruno said, has the readiness for learning. That doesn't mean that we're actively learning, but just that we're open to it. We're willing to learn and grow. Then life has purpose. But if there's no longer any readiness or willingness, then life actually, according to Bruno Groening, will be brought to an end ahead of the preordained time. This is so powerful because it tells us what life is about. There's so many, since probably before recorded history, people have been asking, what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose of life? Well, Bruno Groening points it, and specifically Bruno Groening grounds it in what is the meaning of life in a body here on this earth. He doesn't talk about what the meaning of life is in the rest of the universe. He said that this earth is a very special school. And here he lets us know that he doesn't point back to Claire, the meaning of life is learning, but learning is so essential, such an essential aspect of our earthly life that it's no longer possible because the person has no readiness to learn or willingness to learn, or because of circumstances or other people make learning impossible, that life will actually be brought to an end. That is how integral, according to Bruno Groening. Now, this is something, many teachings of Bruno's, you can try them out and get a direct result. For example, nothing is incurable. You can do what he teaches and actually experience a physical healing. This is one of his teachings that's a little more abstract, which he didn't do very much, but it's so important because it highlights the meaning of life. So the question is how to determine whether it's true or not. Well, Bruno Groening didn't ask us just to believe it just because Bruno said it. He asked us to listen deeply inside ourselves, to come to our own conclusion, whether it's true or not. So I earnestly invite people to spend some time reflecting on this. Because if I'm understanding what Bruno said here, and again, read it for yourself. Anyone who can read the original German, even better. Bruno has given us one of, if not the central aspect of what life is about. So let's spend a little time and reflect on that. And by learning, I don't believe he's talking about acquiring information. I believe and again, find out for yourself, but my understanding of what he means by learning is how to do the dance of life, how to live well, and having information is part of that, but that's not the essence. It's like how to dance well with life, how to be an instrument of God. So let's spend a little time and reflect on all this. And listening deep within ourselves. Noticing what you feel. I would say what Bruno's communicating here is spiritual learning or life learning, like how to be a good neighbor. And of course, all the qualities and virtues behind that, consideration and communication. And that's what I believe he meant by learning. the evolution of our soul. And of course, there's another side to, hi Jisoo. Hey Krista, thanks for saying hello. There's another side to all of this, and that's to release the worry about death. Worrying about something we can't change doesn't work. It's a very famous prayer in the 12-step program. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's a mighty prayer. Human beings spend a lot of time trying to change things they can't. And maybe a significant amount of time not changing the things they can. It's a beautiful prayer of surrender, and it's also a beautiful prayer asking for wisdom and then asking for guidance. First, help me recognize what I can change and can't change, and then the next prayer is, and what would you have me do? So let's take comfort in that the time, and the word death, Bruno said there is no death, only salvation. The soul doesn't die, but these bodies do. So our exit, that's my preferred word for death, exit. My departure. Our flight is already scheduled. We just don't know the date. So it's our job to make the best use of time while here. So one of the beautiful, when I was introduced to this, Bruno, and this teaching, I thought it was all about healing. And what I've come to realize is healing is a side effect of following this path. Now, Bruno himself said that physical healings were only 10% of his work. So, but they're a very wonderful part of his work, no doubt about it. So I'd like to share a healing, and it's actually my first healing. I didn't realize it at the time. I only realized how many years did it take me to realize this healing? It took me almost 9 years. Like, I was kind of aware of it, but one day, just a few days ago, it hit me. Oh my God, that was a healing. So some of you have heard my story that my body was a mess when I found this teaching. A mess. I didn't know if I was going to live a year longer. This was 2012. I had 8 or 9 serious medical conditions, and my health was just. So I found out, I heard about the documentary film. There's a documentary film about Bruno Groening, which I went and saw, and I only stayed for 40 minutes of it because my eyes were burning. I couldn't sit in the chair. Half the time I just laid on the floor and listened. And then I left, and thank you, God, thank you, Bruno. I came back, and when I came back, there was an announcement about, this what was called an introduction to learn more about these teachings. If I hadn't come back, that would have been the end of it. Maybe the end of my life, but I just felt pulled back. And I literally only came back. There was only 3 minutes left of the movie. And I was kind of like, kind of upset. And then they announced the introduction, and I was really grateful. So I didn't feel anything in the introduction. I was annoyed. I didn't feel good. I didn't like the music. They played music during the tuning in, like everything was, but I was just drawn. And also there were people there who said they had experienced healings, and I was desperate. So I went to my first in-person, what were called community hour. And oh my gosh, I was miserable. Again, there was singing at the beginning, which I didn't like. And I was just so uncomfortable. One of my physical burdens, was I couldn't sit for longer than 20 minutes. Had intense tension, and actually very intense tension and pain in my glutes. It's a fancy word for bottom or butt. So I could only sit for 20 minutes and at a time. And I was so uncomfortable. My eyes were burning. I was miserable. But I stayed for 40 minutes and then I left. But still, that was a miracle. I didn't even realize. Like, I forced myself to stay, and I just felt like, I felt yuck. And then I went back. The meetings were every 3 weeks. And then I went back, and then I stayed for an hour, which was ridiculous. And I was pretty uncomfortable, and towards the end, very uncomfortable, but I wasn't miserable the whole time. The first one, I was miserable the whole 40 minutes. And I think it was at that meeting where I said, you know what, I'm gonna, or maybe it was the next one. But I think I started doing a little tuning in at home, receiving this healing energy. And then at the next meeting, in the middle of the meeting, I said, I'm going to try this for a year, because I was very skeptical. I didn't believe in spiritual things. I didn't believe in spiritual healing, but there were all these people telling me about spiritual healing, saying that they had experienced it. And I was desperate. And I had been very impressed by some of the healings I'd heard about in the documentary film. And so it wasn't really a thought. It was like a thought came up from the depths of my being that said, I'm going to try this for a year. I'm going to give this a year. And so then I know for sure I was tuning in at home in between the meetings. And at first I would just tune in a little bit. But then I started to do it more and more, and I was able to sit, but I still didn't notice. And then my next meeting, I made it through the whole meeting. And I was okay, uncomfortable, maybe very uncomfortable at the end, but I did it. And the following meeting, all the way through, slightly uncomfortable, which in and of itself, an absolute healing. Before that, 20 minutes, and then I would have intense pain in my bottom. So, and soon after that came the healing of a 2nd-degree burn on my thumb, which I've shared many times. I'll share it briefly again because it's amazing. For 3 years, I'd received a severe burn to where the top layer of the skin was burnt off, and the doctor said it would never grow back, that part of the skin had been destroyed, were pretty much his exact words. And in the middle of one of these meetings, I was just sitting there receiving the energy. I think I was actually, at that point, I was feeling good. I actually enjoyed the meetings. And then I noticed that my, something was itching on my thumb. And I looked down, and what I saw was my fingers were going like this. I wasn't doing it, but something. It was like my fingers were being moved. And I just kind of stared at it. I'm like, what is going on? It's like something else was moving my fingers. And then I looked and I was shocked. The bright red spot, which I'd had for 3 years, was now light red. And over the next week and a half or so, it kept changing colors until the skin totally grew back and the fingerprint grew back. And in that moment, I'm going to cry. In that moment, I knew that there was a higher power. I didn't know what it was, but all my agnosticism, all my philosophical complexities about so forth and so on, I was convinced. I wasn't even convinced. It was just a fact that there is a something. And that was just I used to say that was the first of many healings, but actually it was the second of many healings. It was the first healing I noticed. This being able to sit, it only hit me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, literally 9 years later. Again, I was aware of it, but the full impact of it had never hit me till then. And the other thing I'll share is that, during this time, and when I experienced many healings, is I was doing many hours of tuning in every day. At a certain point, I was doing up to 3 hours every day. I had to sit with my eyes closed because they burned. I had severe eye trouble. So it was almost like I was forced into it. Of course, I didn't have to do it, but I had to sit with my eyes closed, and it started to feel so good that it ceased being a chore. It was something I enjoyed. And then one after another, and I had a full healing of many, many things. Yes. David Starr's responding to my use of the word something to refer to God. And David wrote, a something that is so great and beyond any conception of God. And that's the thing, friends. I had so many ideas, but they were wrong. And then what I've come to realize is that all of my religious or spiritual ideas about God are always going to fall short. And that's actually a good thing, because God isn't an idea. God is a living, breathing reality to be experienced and to be known through our heart, through our soul. And then from there, then our mind can look at the experience we're having and then talk about it. But how I was taught to learn about God was to take in mental ideas and then think about them a lot. That approach will invariably fall short. So if you haven't already, any burden or illness or worry, resentment, relationship, anything that's less than harmony, entrust it to God. That doesn't mean that you won't be called to act on it. And on this path, what Bruno invites us, cajoles us, strongly encourages us to do, is to separate ourselves from the problem, to not dwell on it and think on it. So friends, let's ask. Let's ask our beloved Maker, and let's ask our dear friend, Bruno Groening, or Jesus, to guide our steps today, to help us become good students. Let's get the A, friends. Or let's strive for the A and ask for their help in learning our lessons. And our lessons are, what I've realized, are generally the things that are right in front of me. Let's see, I have another comment from David. Yes. That's part of being human, and that's part of being, it wouldn't be school if it wasn't a challenge, and it wouldn't be a school if we didn't fall short. I love what David wrote about striving to do our best. You know, we have, in the modern world, we have such this idea of a linear view of things, of like, and destination. And spirituality, a lot of it is about journey. It is about being with and being in the moment and being with what's right in front of you. Is keeping our eye on the journey, on the destination, but to suit up and show up, as they say. And it wouldn't be school. It wouldn't be a school. I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. Wow, including myself. There's 11 of us on here right now. That's very special. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, David, for your beautiful comments. Thank you, Magdalena, Krista, and Jisoo for saying hello. So I'm feeling very full of this divine energy. I hope others are too. And let's ask first for ourselves. Please, God, please, Bruno, please, Christ. The highest healing, the highest blessing, faith, humility, guidance. Please, for those near and dear to us. Any life situations, please, for deeper devotion to the path. Please, for everyone who attended today and everyone who will watch this video. For this channel and all related activities. For every person and organization spreading the teachings of Bruno Groening. For everyone who's seeking the good in oh so many ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome, Magdalena. Hi, Justin. Yeah. Thanks to everyone for joining in. I wish you a beautiful day. And let's be happy learners today. And trust that when things aren't going well, it's nothing but a lesson. That's not to discount the discomfort or the pain, but let's not discount the fact that God is in charge and everything happens for a reason to serve our learning. 24B Tour. I think that's your first time for saying hello. A very warm welcome. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Take care.